Welcome to Center High School and this performance of The Night Thoreau Spent in Jail. We ask that you please set all electronic devices to no light and no sound, and to please remember that the taking of photographs or video recordings is prohibited. During intermission, please visit our concession stand. All proceeds help to benefit further performing arts opportunities. We'd like to extend a very special thank you to our most influential volunteers and donors, Dr. William and Sandra Bennett, Eric and Trudy Stenberg, Mary Evanson, Eric Mertz, Tammy Brightville, and Michelle Romero. And now, La Center High School is proud to present The Night Thoreau Spent in Jail.
Best friend.
Do you ever have a best friend?
The boy who put the gloves on the chickens.
Henry?
I keep thinking his name was David.
David, Henry, what have you gone and done?
I've not gone and done anything, Mother. I have gone and not done something.
Oh, good heavens. Louisa! David Henry's gone and not done something again.
Henry, David.
David Henry, you're being strange again.
He was strange. I almost understood him.
Sometimes.
Sometimes I don't know who you are.
I am myself, Mother. If I wasn't, who would be?
When you're baptized, they tell you who you are.
I wasn't listening.
Christening, you did cry once. Not once. Reverend Ripley said how remarkable it was for a baby not to cry at a christening.
Do you think I knew what they were doing to me?
I suppose not.
That's why I didn't cry.
He was the saddest, happy man I ever knew.
Happiest sad man, I think.
He worked on Sundays and took the rest of the week off. Who's this?
It's your umbrella.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I wouldn't mind your being peculiar, but you have to work at it so hard, David Henry.
Henry, David.
Getting everything backward. How did you learn your letters?
Must the alphabet begin with A? Why not with Z? Z is a very sociable letter, like the path of a man wandering through the woods. A is braced and solid. A is a house. I prefer Z. Z, Y, X, W, V, U, T, S.
Oh, dear.
Or mix it up a little. Start with H or start with Q.
Cast conformity behind you.
Cast conformity behind you.
You know what David Henry's trouble is, John?
What?
He keeps casting conformity behind him.
What the hell? He's been to Harvard.
Never say
Harvard? I'm sorry, Mother. I'll never say it again. Now here's a rare specimen.
There is an infinitude in the private man. If a single man plants himself indomitably on his instincts, and thereby the huge world will come round to him.
And there abide.
Is this one wild or tame? Wild, I think, known to haunt the woods and ponds. Dull plumage, but a wise bird. Americanus something or other. I have it. It is the species brother. John! Welcome home. How's your overstuffed brain?
Oh, I've forgotten everything already.
At least you've got a diploma.
No, I don't.
Why not?
They charge you $1 and I wouldn't pay it.
But think how Mama would love it. Your diploma from Harvard framed on the wall.
Let every sheep keep his own skin. John, I learned more from one man, not even a professor, than I did at 4 years of droning and snorting at Cambridge. The strangest thing was, he wasn't a stranger. I'd known him and I'd seen him. Well, you know him too. You walk by him on the street and you say hello. He's just a man, just a neighbor. But when this man speaks, a hush falls over all of Harvard. And there's this light about him that comes out of his face, but it's not just the light of one man. I swear to you, John, it's the light of all mankind. Idolator. Is this Earth?
I hope so.
No. It's you, and I, and God, and Mr. Emerson, and the universal mind.
And Aunt Louisa?
Oh yes, Aunt Louisa too, false teeth and all. Oh, it's not easy to think about Aunt Louisa swimming through the Milky Way, but that's the way things are, I'm sure of it.
Well, if she can't keep afloat, you can dive in and save her. So, now that you've turned your back on Harvard, what do you plan to do?
I think I'll think for a while. It'll certainly be a change from college.
But what do you want to be, Henry? Do you have any idea?
I know exactly what I want to be. I want to be as much as possible like Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Oh, your lecture was splendid, dear.
I think I read one paragraph twice. I lost my place.
Nobody noticed, dear.
If nobody noticed, then nobody was listening.
Of course they were.
Just after that, I started listening to myself. I thought I sounded pompous. Dear God and dear Lydia, don't ever let me get pompous.
Oh, Dr. Emerson, what a beautiful, beautiful lecture.
Thank you. Was it all perfectly clear?
Oh, no. But it was so lovely to see you standing up there, talking to all of us as if you thought we were all as smart as you are.
You see, I'm not getting to them at all.
Of course you are.
Did you see that one fellow in the third row with his eyes closed? You don't think he was sleeping, do you?
Concentrating, dear.
My friend,
What? Why?
every human being has an inalienable right to snore, provided it does not interfere with another man's inalienable right to snore. Couldn't hear what's going on.
Nothing goes on in here. Night half the time and day, and night again. Don't make much difference.
Did you hear that?
I didn't hear nothing. Bird.
Just a bird. Well, can you make a cry like that? Or feed on the flowers, or carry the sky on your wings? My friend, you and I can't even fly.
I missed part of that. I was about full awake.
Nobody ever is. If I ever met a man who was fully awake, how could I look him in the face?
What are you in here for?
What do you think?
Well, man who talks educated like you can't have done something small. I reckon it must be murder. Or worse.
Well, that's what they say I've done. Out there in the dark, murder or worse. No, I refuse to commit murder. That's why I'm here.
Who they want you to kill?
Mexico.
Who's that?
That's where the war is.
What war?
My friend, this cell might be the only place in the United States that's at peace.
Who's fighting who?
I'm not fighting anybody.
Neither am I.
But we've got a president who boomed up a war all by himself with no help from Congress and less help from me.
First I heard of it. Which side you on? You against them?
Then,
Or are you one of them?
I'm one of me.
That don't make no sense.
He's an old friend of mine, a night flyer. He doesn't have to see where he's going, or perhaps he can see what we can't, or hear. Did you ever make friends with a loon?
Not till tonight.
Whenever you hear a man called loony, just know it's a great respect to the man and a great disrespect to the loon. A loon's government is perfect, being non-existent, and a loon doesn't wage war. And a loon is the best fisherman, and he is completely in control of his senses. Thank you. What are you here for, friend?
I'm waiting trial.
Well, what did you do?
Nothing.
What did they say you did?
Burned down a barn. But I didn't do it. All I did was snuck in to get some sleep and pulled sparks from my pipe, landed in the hay, and
Well, tell him that.
tell him time is the child. That's what I've been waiting here for 3 months.
You've been sitting in this cell for 3 months waiting for the time to say you're innocent?
That's about it.
That's outrageous. Staples, Sam Staples!
Oh, no need to cause a ruckus. I'm no troublemaker. I'm just trying to make a little tobacco money, earn my keep, get along.
Get along. Those words turn my stomach. Listen, mister, what's your name?
Bailey,
All right, well, Mr. Bailey, listen, what do you hear?
nothing. Except footsteps.
Footsteps of what?
Man, I guess.
Well, where's he going?
How would I know?
I know where he's going. He is going to a place where he's supposed to be so he can get there at the time he's supposed to be there. Why? So he'll be liked. My God, a whole country of us who only want to be liked. What if God wanted to be liked instead of loved? What if he postponed every great decision until he knew it would please the majority? Some great whales might have offended some legislator who he knew would one day speak endlessly of the common good. Common good be damned! Give me something pleasantly uncommon!
I don't understand what you're saying. It's a marvel to hear the way the words roll out.
I'll put it in plain Anglo-Saxon, Mr. Bailey. You're an uncommon man. Protested against the barn builder who locked you up here with clap and board and daily working hours.
Don't say that to no judge. I burned down a barn? Throw me in jail.
My friend, where do you think you are? You might as well have done the deed that you didn't do.
But I'm not a man who goes around burning things down.
Good for you. Fire that burns inside burns hotter than fire outside. A man's conviction is stronger than any flame or bullet or rock. Wonder if they'll keep me in here awaiting trial 3 months. Who will weed my bean patch? Suppose I could get some brain work done.
You know, a smart fellow like you. I bet you can even write.
Sometimes.
I wish I was a writer. If I could write my own name, I'd die happy.
Well, you do better than most writers. Bailey's not a hard name.
I know the start of it. It's the beginning of the alphabet, backwards.
Well, then I'll teach you the rest. Come here.
David Henry's an expert in getting things backwards.
B, A.
That's as far as I know.
Who's Bailey?
I am.
Well, that's it. I am I. That's your next letter.
How do you write it?
Simple as a beanpole, straight up and down. B, A, I. See, you're halfway through your name already. Now, you'll want to turn the corner like this. You see, that's L. Well, now here's the tricky part. How much hair have you got?
Enough to comb.
That's it. Bailey needs a comb to comb his hair. And that's your next letter, E. Now, when you're all through, you'll want a nice tree to sit under, so you'll draw a beanpole with two branches coming off the top like this. That's Y. There you have it. That's your name, Bailey.
Joshua, you make it simple. B, A, beanpole, turn the corner,
Yes.
comb, tree. I'll leave this jail an educated man. You must be a teacher.
Being a teacher is like being in jail. Once it's on your record, you can never get rid of it. Students, hold your hand up in front of you like this. Now, is there anything between my nose and my fingertips? Nothing. My young friends, there are millions of tiny dancing particles whizzing back and forth, running into each other and bouncing off. Stars, planets, universes, right here. And now, I give you a mystery. How do we know that these particles are actually there?
How indeed?
We have a guest in our classroom today, the chairman of the Concord School Committee, Deacon Nehemiah Ball.
I'm not here to interrupt your scheduled curriculum.
Thank you, sir. Now, these particles...
Just an observer, that's all I am.
Scientists have discovered...
Try to forget I'm in the room.
We'll try, sir. Now, in recent years, scientists have
How
thoroughly...
is it that I see no school books open here?
We're huckleberrying, sir.
You're what?
We're scrambling for ideas the way you would hunt for huckleberries in the woods.
Well, that's no way to learn anything. All they need to know is clearly spelled out in the approved school texts.
All, Deacon Ball. Why, young Potter here has just asked me if I really think there is a God.
Ugh, young heathen.
He simply asked why. Since we never actually see God, why should we believe he exists?
Matters of theology, boy, are discussable with your spiritual leader.
Mr. Potter has already talked to his spiritual leader, and Reverend whoever it is called him an atheist for committing the primary sin of doubt. Now, Mr. Potter, I will once try to answer you as I once replied to a young, inquisitive, annoying young man myself.
be a theological opinion?
It will be a human opinion. Now, if I were to enter a store and notice the various pieces of a watch lying spread out on a bench, coming back later to it to find that all the pieces have been brought together in perfect unison and showing the passage of time, do I believe that these parts have come together by pure chance? Certainly not. I believe that somebody with power and plan came to it. An intelligence!
An intelligence governs the universe, and in this worship service, we shall celebrate our gratitude to that intelligence. Let us pray.
Nor do I believe that the sun rising above Concord this morning was an accident. I hope you saw it, Mr. Potter. And you too, Deacon Ball, for it was a brilliant sunrise. We are all related, Mr. Potter, and interrelated to a universal mind.
Well, that's atheism.
I often wonder, Deacon, if atheism might even be popular with God himself.
Transcendental blasphemy!
The universal mind is the divine part of all of us, and we partake, knowingly or not, in the wonder of that universal mind.
Now, does all of this make sense to you, young Potter?
Well, it makes no sense to me. You will teach the textbooks, sir.
I find your textbooks somewhat behind the century.
Oh, you find them so.
Oh, yes, sir, I do.
And yet you choose to ignore the books which have been proscribed by the school committee.
My students have the ache of curiosity, which I'm afraid your prescriptions will not cure.
Silence! You will show respect for your elders. And you, schoolmaster, will teach strictly according to text. No huckleberrying.
Class, you've heard the deacon. We shall stick to the approved text. Your eyes must not wander from the page to notice a leaf or an unauthorized butterfly. You may not listen to any single sound that has not been approved by the school committee. Oh, and you had better close both ears and your nose, although you may need to grow an extra hand to do it.
Silence! Is this the gratitude you show to the municipality which feeds your minds? You will show decent respect! Make them be silent, sir. The lack of order in this classroom will most certainly be reported to the full school committee, which I intend to call into extraordinary session tonight.
Henry, give the man a penny apology. 2 cents worth of humility.
Why should I?
So they don't cut you off from the class. If you're stubborn, what happens when Potter asks questions?
Deacon Ball, I apologize for the rather ragged time you've had in my classroom today. I intended no offense to you or the school committee.
Well, we've come to expect a certain degree of unruliness from Harvard men, though your apology shows that you recognize this flaw in your character. However, your students don't have Harvard as an excuse. They must be punished.
I shall lecture them.
You will flog them.
What?
You will flog them for showing irreverence to authority.
No, sir, I do not believe in corporal punishment.
What you believe is irrelevant. Your opinion as a teacher has not been asked for. I direct you to flog.
Why?
It is policy. Offending students are whipped.
What would that teach them?
Obedience, an essential quality in subordinates, whether they be students in the classroom or soldiers on a battlefield.
They are not training to be soldiers, not my students.
These students are not yours. They belong to the tax-paying citizens of Concord, whom expect you to abide by the rules laid down by the school administrators. Perform your duty, Schoolmaster Thoreau, if you expect to retain your post in this community.
6 of you, any 6, it doesn't matter who. You are all of you being accused of the same damning cries of laughter, curiosity, and candid self-expression. Bigelow. Coleman. Laurie. Henderson. Potter.
I congratulate you. I'm happy to be able to report to the full school committee that Schoolmaster Thoreau
Has committed the primary sacrament of the school committee, and he resigns as a teacher at the public schools of Concord.
But I cannot comply with custom. I cannot administer the rites required of me by this congregation, for I have searched the scriptures and can find nothing which calls us to repeat endlessly the ceremony of the Last Supper. Intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, I cannot administer this sacrament. So I resign my position as pastor of the Second Unitarian Church of Boston.
I shall never teach again.
I shall never preach again.
Have you ever noticed, John, how much Mr. Emerson talks like our David Henry?
A school doesn't need a school committee, or trustees, or governors, or lumber, or approved textbooks. All a school needs is a mind that sends and minds that receive.
Nobody can teach anybody anything.
Of course not. Teach them how to teach themselves.
That's it, John. Our own school. No buildings. Break away from the classroom prison. All we need is sky. Students, take a good look around you. Did you ever know that so much was going on in Haywood's Meadow? I'll wager even Haywood doesn't know. What? The Cyropedium, it's already in bloom. Last year, it didn't flower until tomorrow. Do you know what few people know what we've just discovered? The first morning, a new flower. Most of Concord is too busy eating meals or going to the post office. Oh, I would be sad and sorry to remember that I once lived in a world and never noticed anything remarkable, not even a prince in disguise. John, are you a prince in disguise?
Of course.
Wouldn't it have been awful if I had been born in the golden age as a hired man? Or gone to Olympus and fallen asleep after dinner and completely missed the conversation of the gods. Imagine living in Judea 1800 years ago and never knowing that Jesus was my contemporary. What are you doing?
I'm writing.
Writing what?
What you've been saying, so I'll remember.
Well, don't just remember what I've said. Remember what I'm talking about. Who's that?
It's a girl.
Is she one of ours? Does she belong to us? Is she one of our students?
I wouldn't mind. Would you?
Excuse me, miss, but I think you might be a little too old for our class.
Henry, a young lady is never too old for anything.
Well, you see, most of our students are 12, or thereabouts. And, well, you don't exactly seem like thereabouts.
Does it make so much difference, really? I just want to come along and listen and watch. I won't be any bother or ask any questions.
Why not?
Well, my little brother is the only one who has the right to ask questions. He's paying tuition.
You're a Sewell.
How do you know?
Well, if I can spot a Cyripidium, I can spot a Sewell.
Well, there's only one rule in this class. No rules. So of course, you're welcome to come along anytime you like.
What about tuition?
You've already paid it. If you were ugly, we'd charge you. Or 12, or thereabouts.
You're John Thoreau. And you're the thundercloud, Henry.
What previous educational experience have you had?
Finishing school.
Dear God.
I survived.
Miss Sewell, John and I are not finishers. No one leaves our classroom with a smooth surface. We rub up the conscience and scrape the moss off young minds.
Oh, please, Mr. Thoreau, go back to your students. I'm afraid I've interrupted.
Yes, you have. Every major event that has ever happened in the world was an interruption, unexpected, unplanned for. But you see, the only people who ever find anything interesting are those who get lost. That's why the planets are so much better company than the stars. They're whizzing back and forth through the sky, and you'll never know where you're going to find them. Students, we have another Sewell in the classroom today, Edmund's sister. Now, do you have a first name?
Ellen.
Ellen Sewell. Well, our textbook, Miss Sewell, is Haywood's Meadow, approved by the Almighty, if not by the school committee. In this single pasture, there are 300 different variety of God-made grasses. You simply look down and you say, that's grass. Grass is grass. Ridiculous. You have simply missed the variety of the show. Why, there is camel grass and candy grass and cloud grass and cowquake and foxtail and London lace and devil's knitting needle and Timothy and barnyard grass and clovers to enough to sweeten the bellies of all lambs since creation. John, what do you think this is?
I've never seen it before.
It's a koi lacrima Job. It means Job's tears. I have never seen a specimen here before. Pardon me, students. We are in the midst of 301 God-made grasses. You're writing again.
Just Job's tears.
Why?
Well, when you go to school, you learn to write down what you've been taught, so you'll remember.
So it's the notebook that does the remembering, not you.
You keep a notebook.
Yes, but I also wear a ridiculous straw hat. But that doesn't mean that you should wear a ridiculous straw hat, because you would look ridiculous in it. You see, nature didn't fill this field with so many identical blades of grass, each an imitation of one another. Follow the leader is not the game we're playing here. Young lady, be your own man. Henry, don't shout at her.
I promise I won't take any more notes. Not one.
Why not? If you simply wish to take notes, then do so, but not because I am or because I told you so. Miss Sewell, I want you to be yourself. not your idea of what someone else's idea is of yourself. Perhaps, students, Miss Sewell's interruption has given us the essence of the textbook we call Haywood's Meadow. Multitude of grasses beneath our feet and the infinity of sky above us. Now, if I were to jot down a note about a cloud flame or the sunlight reflecting off a bird's wing, don't you write it, just because I am. Don't ape me or copy me. If you wish to simply listen to the sky, or smell the sky, or feel the sky with your fingertips, then please do that. Because I believe that there should be as many different persons in the world as possible. So, each of you, be very careful to find out and pursue your own way.
Bailey. I can write. Watch me do it by myself.
Don't learn to write your name.
I already learned.
Unlearn it. By the time you are able to write your name, you'll be writing sentences. And then you'll be writing paragraphs. And then books. And then you will be in as much trouble as I am.
You write books?
Yes.
My mother lived to see me sitting in the same jail cell as a man who read a book. Way she'd be proud of me. Tell me something. You make up all the words yourself?
Now and then I use a word that was previously used. But you see, the trick of it is you have to find the right words and put them in the right order.
Must be a fortune in it. I hear tell some books cost more than $1.
But you see, they haven't been perfected yet. You still have to put legs on them. You see, some books sit in store shelves awaiting for people with legs to come in and find them.
Oh.
My first book, which was also my last book, was a very stationary model. The publisher had brought over 1,000 copies, which gave me the privilege of paying for the printing. The ones that didn't sell still belonged to the author, so they came running home to me, legs or not. Right now, Mr. Bailey, I have a library of over 900 volumes, 700 of which I wrote myself. My friend, give up on your literary career. John, I thought we could make a complete circuit of the pond. If the boat's not big enough for the both of us, you can take the first trip and I shall take the second.
It'll be large enough.
We lost another pupil?
No, we lost 2.
Good. Education should not be a mass process.
With us, it isn't.
But the point of our school, John, is that when the size of the classroom goes larger and larger and
The size of the class keeps growing smaller and smaller.
how many do we have left?
Mother's got the name of a new family. Just moved to Concord.
How many children?
Be patient, Henry. The wife is pregnant.
Where are you going?
Back to the pencil factory.
Why?
It might be a little overpowering, having twice as many teachers as pupils.
Only one left.
Thoreau.
Good morning.
Good morning. I came to tell you that you shouldn't wait for Edmund. Just go on ahead and start class without him. He won't be coming today.
Well, I hope he's not ill.
No, it's my father.
Oh, he's ill.
Not exactly. He's a bit worried. He thinks Edmund's been learning too much.
Well, that's good news. I was beginning to think Edmund was a bit sluggish myself, compared to our other students. That is, when we had other students to compare him with. Tell your father not to worry. I shall slow down with Edmund.
I'm afraid that Father doesn't want Edmund coming to your school at all anymore.
Your father's opposed to knowledge?
No, he's opposed to transcendentalists. That's what he says you are, and your brother too. A whole family afflicted with transcendentalism.
Well, what the devil does your father think transcendentalism is?
I tried to ask him, and he tried to explain it to me, but the more he explained, the less I understood it. Father has a gift that way.
A born non-teacher. Miss Sewell, get into the boat.
Oh?
Since I find myself unexpectedly unemployed, I shall take you on a voyage of exploration. No tuition charge. Keep your eye on the line between the water and the sky. I'll row. There used to be a row of cedars on that far shore, but we have since lost that link with Lebanon.
Where have they gone?
Into firewood, up into smoke, into houses. Do you know what we're doing, Miss Sewell? Poisoning paradise. And we're shearing the woods off the poor earth and making her bald before her time.
But we have to have houses, Mr. Thoreau. Or should we all live in caves?
What's the point of building a house if you haven't a tolerable planet to put it on? You see, did you know that trees crowd in pain when they're cut? I've heard them. But what bells in town toll for them? We prosecute men for abusing children. We ought to prosecute them for maltreating nature.
Father says that God put everything here for men to use.
Did the good Father put us here to snort and root and glut ourselves like pigs? No, the pigs are better. In fact, the pigs might be the most respectable part of the population. At least they consume the rubble instead of contributing to it. There goes a cartload full of two-legged pigs off to the market, emasculating the landscape with their tracks.
I rather like the railroad. Far better than a horse and carriage.
Why?
It's smoother and much faster.
And uglier and dirtier. Thank God men haven't learned how to fly. We would lay waste to the sky and chop down the clouds.
Is that in transcendentalism, Mr. Thoreau?
Oh, no. Well, yes, in a way. Take your father, for example. Do you love that man?
Of course.
Why?
He's my father.
Is he beautiful?
Oh, dear me, no.
Well, does he create beauty? Does he paint or play a musical instrument?
No.
Can he fly like that fellow up there, or swim like that fellow down there?
He can swim a little. He used to. But not like that fish.
Nevertheless, you love him.
Of course.
You see, Your love transcends what he is and what he is not. Every consciousness is capable of going beyond itself, and everything... Damn it, I've lost you. Put your hand into the water. Now, can you reach the bottom?
It's too deep.
For the length of your arm, not for your mind. Miss Sewell, why should your reach stop with your skin? If you transcend the limits of yourself, you cease merely living and you begin to be.
I don't mind living.
But being is so much more interesting.
I'm a little bit afraid to just be.
But think how free it is to never be afraid.
Aren't you ever afraid?
Yes. You see, I'm afraid that I might live through this moment and only live, and look at you and only see you. It doesn't hurt to look at you, trust me. But what if there's more, and I miss it?
Miss what?
All that is beautiful in women and the world, or worlds. What if all of that is totaled up into this face here, in front of me, and I am empty enough to think that I am merely seeing one face?
That's transcendentalism?
If you like.
I don't think that's wicked. I think it's rather nice.
Who says it's wicked?
Father, last night at the dinner table, Edmund gave a sermon on the oversoul.
Well, good for Edmund. Most dining room tables or tabernacles where only the father hits the pulpit.
Oh, he got it right back. He was still shouting this morning. He broke off with an incomplete sentence last night and picked it right back up this morning over porridge.
Well, I'm a little bit older than Edmund, but I've yet to hear the first syllable of valuable advice from my seniors. You see, we are all born as innocents, polluted by advice. Here it is, life in front of us, like the surface of this pond, inviting us to sail onto it. A voyage, an experiment, waiting to happen. Has your father tried it? Oh, but it wouldn't be any help to me. Or to you. Keep your innocence, Edmund.
Ellen.
Ellen. Yes. Ellen. Well, you both have a strong family resemblance. Your eyes, you both listen with your eyes.
I have to go back.
Why?
Father expects me.
Surprise him.
Edmund did. He's braver than I am.
Stand up to your father.
Oh, please, Mr. Thoreau, not in the boat. Will you row me back to shore, please?
No. Listen to me. If I were to say to you, I love you, Sewell, Miss Sewell, Ellen, then you would think of it no more as a statement of fact, or an echo, or a mouthing of something somebody told me to say, some father. But if I were to say to you, I love you, out of myself, out of my own experiences, or lack of it, out of my own innocence, then you and God had better believe me.
Mother, Henry's in love.
Who's he in love with?
A girl.
Oh, thank God.
I am not one of your fish, nor one of your birds, Mr. Thoreau, so I can neither swim nor fly back to dry land. I must simply sit here and hope that you are gentleman enough to row me ashore.
I apologize, Miss Sewell. I shall row you back to shore on one condition.
I have to accept it.
Come to church on Sunday.
You don't go to church.
Oh, of course not. I can't stand sitting in the pews and having the Sabbath despoiled by a sermon.
But still you invite me to church.
With John. You see, we have a strong family resemblance too. If you can find at least one syllable worth writing in me, you will find paragraphs of it in John. Where I am cantankerous, he is amiable. Where I am brambles and thorns, John is a garden. Where I am a bare hill in the winter, he is spring.
But how do you know that your brother would want to take me to church?
Didn't you hear him that one evening in Haywood's Meadow when he proposed to you?
He's barely spoken to me.
That's why you didn't hear him. You missed the eloquence of his silence.
Good day, Mr. Thoreau. And thank you for making transcendentalism so clear.
Did I? If there's anything I missed, please just ask Edmund.
What will happen to your school?
I shall go back to it, but as a pupil, I think I shall try to learn from nature and from John. You see, a field can be raucous with flowers and not make a single sound. But a man, presumably wiser than a daffodil, can beat so loudly on the eardrums that no one can hear what he's trying to say. Mr. Bailey, what do you think of marriage? Well, yes, that seems to be the majority opinion. Did you hear that, Bailey? Oh, I've never felt such waves of sound coming from the clock tower. It's ridiculous that a man has to be locked in a stone box in order for him to hear the music of his own village. Thank you, Concord. Thank you for locking me up so that I may be free to hear something I've never heard before. Put me behind iron bars and stone walls 4 feet thick, but how do you know that I'm not the free one? The freest man in the world, while you are stuck to what you have to do tomorrow morning. Speak softly, Concord. I can hear you breathing. Quiet, baby. Us free men should hear the cry of prisoners.
Dr. Emerson, what is the feeling of a clergyman when he hears another pastor in the pulpit?
Relief.
That you don't have to give the sermon?
That's over.
David Henry, not on Sunday.
It is Sunday, isn't it? And what are you all doing in here locked up? There's a beautiful sunrise out this morning. What a pity.
We've been feeding our souls.
Oh, well, how selfish of you. See, I have been feeding the flora of Concord, giving loaves and lilacs to the fishes.
Labor on the Sabbath, and the devil's in Massachusetts.
Henry worships in the woods.
Then what do we have churches for?
I sometimes wonder.
What Dr. Emerson means is that the good Lord is everywhere.
Well, the Lord I know rested on the seventh day.
Why, Deacon Ball, you're older than I thought. For you and me, Deacon, the Declaration of Independence has already been written. Young Thoreau has to declare it every day, Sundays included. So, what's the harm if he sweats his psalms instead of singing them?
Oh, David Henry, why did God and I have to make you so peculiar? And please, dear Lord, don't let John get too strange. Perhaps, if it isn't too much trouble, you could slip the word yes into that young lady's mouth. Amen.
She said yes. Oh, congratulations, John. I'm so happy for you. Are you going to start right away? Are you going to go that tribal rights, all that primitive nonsense?
She said
She said yes, naturally. She didn't say no.
no, she didn't say no.
Then what the devil did she say?
She quoted her father.
Oh, heavenly or here?
The one her mother married.
What did old Porridge Face have to say?
He said, she said, he said, that marriage to either of the Thoreau brothers was unthinkable.
Oh, amen. The Thoreau brothers never had any intention of marrying her father. Oh, but she stood up to him.
I wasn't there, but evidently she sat down.
You wasted 6 good summer Sundays taking her to church.
I swear to you, I didn't pray. I kept looking at that face out of the corner of my eye, wondering what she was thinking. It turns out she wasn't thinking at all.
Oh, well, she's a girl who would want a wife that went around thinking.
When I asked her to marry me, there was a pregnant pause. Well, not pregnant, but a pause. Then she said, "Oh dear." At first I thought she was being affectionate. Then I realized she was only saying, "Oh dear."
Well, then what?
Then she said, "Why doesn't Henry ask me?" And I said, "If he does, will you say yes?" And she said, "No, but why doesn't he ask me anyhow?"
Why, that's outrageous. She wants to wear both our scalps on her petticoat strings.
She won't marry me, and she won't marry you, but I think she'd marry us in a minute.
That's carrying Unitarianism too far.
If we were Mohammedans,
Oh, but it wouldn't help. You see, Muslims take multiple wives, not multiple husbands.
But then, Henry, I destroyed the whole thing.
Oh, dear.
I killed it. I laughed. Not like that, bigger. Not at her, the dear girl, at us. I almost shattered the most sacred tradition of the Thoreau tribe, celibacy.
Oh, you're a good-hearted man, John. You saved the poor girl from marrying a monk.
Or a pair of them.
Oh, whoever in our brood has committed marriage?
Mom and Papa.
Oh, only legally, except for the few slips that brought about you and me. You see, Papa is a pure bachelor, and Mama is the living spinster, is the living pillar of spinsterhood. You see, thanks to your courageous inactions, the Thoreaus have remained a race of bachelors and maiden aunts. All of us December virgins.
Henry, I never told you about 1 April.
Oh boy, if father can falter it, then so can you.
It does make for a rather lonely-looking future.
Lonely? Never. You see, John, when I'm 19, you're a mere infant of 88. I know you'll come around to comfort me.
Why, when you're 90, I'll be a mere infant of 92.
And that's the time we'll both go after the hand of Ellen Sewell.
Unto Almighty God, we commend the soul of our brother departed, John Thoreau, and we commit his body to the ground in the sure and certain hope of the resurrection unto eternal life. Let us pray.
David Henry, pray with me. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be.
I can't pray, Mother.
We should pray for John's soul.
John's soul can take care of itself.
We should pray for understanding.
I understand. God has stopped listening, if he ever did listen. Mother, pray for both your sons.
What happened?
He died.
I was in Winthrop. I didn't even hear about it till after the funeral.
We managed.
How did? Did anybody know about it beforehand?
What do you want, a medical report? To
Even,
feed a morbid curiosity?
even though I couldn't marry,
Oh, couldn't you? Oh, that's your business.
Henry, don't be so selfish with your sorrow. I care too.
Oh, he had a glamorous death. Like the knights of the Round Table who slash and cut each other with rusty swords until they have all died of blood poisoning.
I don't understand.
John, 3 mornings ago, happened to think of something very funny while he was shaving. So he cut himself. And he burst out with laughter. And the razor was old and vicious, and it despised the blood in his veins. Would you like the details? The spasms, the retching, the murderous ineptitude of the doctors, the clamping of the jaw, the blood-black face, the eyes pleading for oxygen?
Henry,
If a lightning bolt had struck him, it would have been worthy of the size of the man. But a nick in the finger from a dull razor, what an indignity. A sneak attack from the Almighty. You plagued Job, but why couldn't you spare John?
I wonder if God lets us be hurt, so we can learn to transcend the pain. In the boat, I didn't understand, really. But is it possible, Henry, that even though John's not living, he continues to be?
What sort of work would you like to do?
Anything. I wish to use my hands.
And what about your head?
Might be useful for burrowing, perhaps. I could beat it into a plowshare. Would be a better tool than it has been for thinking.
You're giving up thinking?
Oh, for this lifetime, yes.
We could certainly use a handyman, Lydian. Mrs. Emerson will assure you that, of all God's creatures, I am the least handy of men. My skill at carpentry stops at cutting cheese.
There is a great deal that needs doing. The wall by the back meadow needs mending.
I am a mason.
You are?
Oh, well, of course, I'm not a mason, but I do masonry.
The weeds are at war at the marigolds, and the last time I looked, the weeds were winning.
They're doomed. Being a weed myself, I shall infiltrate their ranks.
What about children, Mr. Thoreau?
What about them?
You have experience with them?
Well, I was a child myself once, briefly.
It would be so good for Edward to have someone who could take him boating and hiking. Dr. Emerson has such little time to be a father. He's so occupied with his lectures and his writings.
Well, perhaps when I'm working with you, son, I may turn my brain back on, temporarily.
I think this might prove to be a very good arrangement. Of course, there's the matter of compensation.
Oh, I've already been paid, but not by money, something much more valuable. You see, when you fling your words out to an audience from your lecture platform, you never know what happens to those words, do you? No more than any Roman emperor knew where his coins scattered as he rode through the streets.
The Roman emperors were trying to buy popularity.
And the poor fools only had gold. No wonder Rome fell. But you see, I sat in that yard at Harvard and heard you speak for the first time. I think I caught more gold coins than anyone at the wheels of your chariot.
This may be interesting, having a Harvard man as a handyman. I'm vain, you know, of necessity. I'm not as lucky as the Caesars. I have to mint all my own coins. So a man sits at his desk and doubts constantly. Is it gold or is it tin?
I apologize. It was a faulty metaphor. Money is merely money. You can never spend a thought, for it belongs to you. Although it sure can make other men rich.
You're thinking, Mr. Thoreau. Incidentally, if we're going to have you around here, you and your hands and your head, I can't possibly go on calling you Mr. Thoreau. Your mother calls you David, I believe.
I call myself Henry.
My mother called me Ralph. You may call me Waldo. And Lydian, of course, is Lydian. And Edward. Where's Edward? Edward!
It's important, I think, for you to meet Edward, to be sure that you two are companionable.
Why shouldn't they be?
Yes, sir?
A firm handshake, Edward, for Mr. Thoreau. You're going to be extremely good friends.
How do you do, sir?
Isn't it nice, Edward, having a new member of the family?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, we can't expect Henry to be paid the same munificent salary we pay Edward, which is nothing.
Not true. Every Saturday morning, wet or fair, Edward gets a shiny new dime,
I do?
which I promptly put in the bank for him.
Some weeks he's overpaid.
That will be all, Edward. Back to your studies.
Yes, Father.
Perhaps, Dr. Emerson, it'll make you less worried. I shall take the same pay as Edward and try to be worth it.
Henry, you're not a very good businessman.
Well, I'm not a businessman at all. You see, if I'm not paid a regular salary, I won't feel obligated to keep regular hours. I enjoy a broad margin to my life. But I assure you, the work will be done.
Then you must have weekly wages.
But must it be money? Couldn't it be How far does your back meadow stretch?
To the woods.
Including the woods?
A section of it. To the shore of the pond.
Well, perhaps, maybe one day, if my work has been proven useful to you and we remain friends, I may ask you for a section of your woods. A small square, no bigger than this room, and not as a gift. I don't want to own it. Perhaps a simple understanding between friends who really see that the land truly belongs to the woodchucks anyhow.
Well, what will you do with it?
Oh, I have an idea, an experiment.
Good thinking, Henry. You're planning way up ahead for your retirement.
Retirement? What an absurd idea. Why spend the best part of your life earning money so that you may enjoy a questionable liberty at the least valuable part of it? See, why work like a dog so that you may pant a moment or two before you die?
Carlyle told me about an Englishman who went off to India, he called it, to make a huge fortune so he could come back to the lake country and live the life of a poet.
Well, if he ever had a poem to his name, he should have rushed up to his garret.
He should have. He died in the Punjab, immensely wealthy, but without a sonnet to his name.
Can Henry have his parcel of woods for his experiment?
Well, I'm not sure what kind of experiment you have in mind. But if the woodchucks don't object, why should I?
Thank you, Doctor. Waldo.
I don't have time to go into all the things that need doing. Lydian, if you could go into the details.
Don't make a list. Things will tell me what needs to be done.
Oh, what a relief. The hell of having people help you is that they're constantly completing what you gave them to do. And they come knocking at your door saying, "What shall I do next?" Always when you are in the midst of what you yourself should be doing next.
I respect a man's privacy, and I shall never knock at the door of your study.
Don't be too much a stranger, Henry. I might interrupt your work now and then to help me mend a cracked wall or pull a few weeds in a lecture I'm writing.
I will be as frank with you with your work as I am with that back meadow.
Not many people understand that young man. He doesn't want anything.
Perhaps he wants too much.
What time is it?
Where are you planning on going?
Back to sleep. I'd like to know how much the night has swum by.
In Samarkand, it's noon.
Near Boston?
It's as far away from Boston as you can get before you start coming back to Boston.
I could never figure how it could be one time here, another time somewhere else. Isn't it now all over?
wiser than most men who wear watches. You see, I never understood why you should hang time on the hour. You can't count a river while it's flowing by you. You see, the best thing to do is to take off your clothes and go swimming in it. Then you become a part of the whole river, where it's been, where it's at, and where it's going. Plunge in.
I don't swim good.
Well, there's no trick to it, really. Well, yes, there is one trick. You can't fight or struggle with the water. You see, if you fight and kick and thrash, the water will fight right back, and then you'll go under. Drowned and drunk on ale and civilization.
You drink?
Do you?
When I can afford it.
It doesn't cost anything to be drunk. Well, it needn't, and it shouldn't. See, a man can get drunk on just about anything. You see, where I'm from, a man can get drunk on the air.
Where's that at? Maybe when they let me out, I'll come get drunk with you. They let you out. Where's it at?
In the woods, by a pond.
Away from everything?
Where I live, I have a great deal of company, just no people.
Don't you get scared? Alone? Dark?
Why be afraid? All the witches have been hung, Christianity and candles have been invented.
You live there all the time?
All the time.
I wish I had a place to belong. It's always been a marvel to me how a man can get himself enough money together to own a house that belongs to him.
Do you want to know how much my mansion cost me? $28.12.5.
Man almighty, I always thought a house cost a fortune, $100 or more. How do you eat?
Very well. See, I have a bean patch and some Indian corn. Now and then, Walden serves me up a fish.
What happens in the winter?
It snows, so I don't even have to go to the pond for fresh water. I simply open the door and grab a handful of snow and melt it, and it's as sweet as sky. Although there are a few things you have to go into town for. So, you go into town.
You've condescended to pay a call on civilization, Mr. Thoreau.
Briefly and reluctantly.
How is life among the savages?
Well, if I'm in Concord long enough, Deacon, I may find out.
Hello, Henry.
Oh, hello, Sam.
What's wrong with your foot?
Foot's fine. I've got a sick shoe. Cobbler will cure it.
Henry, I got something here for you.
Oh.
I can understand how a man could forget being as busy as you are out there, writing about the birds and talking to the fish and whatever else it is you do out there by yourself. Naturally, it don't occur to you to think much about taxes.
No, I don't think much of taxes.
But they gotta be paid.
Why?
It's the law. Now, I ain't blaming you for being forgetful. It may surprise you to learn you ain't paid your tax for 2 years.
6.
I got this order, and I gotta serve it on you. Here.
Why, thank you, Sam. Fits perfectly. Looks like I won't have to go to the cobbler at all.
Now, Henry, that there is an official paper. You can't just walk on it like that.
Why not? It's the best thing I ever got from the government. Most practical, anyhow.
Look, it don't pleasure me none serving this court order on you. Sometimes it's an unpleasant job.
Well, if you don't like it, Sam, then quit.
Looky here, Henry. You gonna pay your tax or ain't ya?
Do you pay your tax, Sam?
If I didn't, I'd have to arrest myself.
Oh, well, are you going to arrest me?
I don't want to, Henry. But the government gets persnickety about taxes when we got a war going. After all, it ain't a big sum of money. If you're hard up, well, I'll pay it.
Don't you dare.
A loan, just you can pay me back.
I won't pay 1 copper penny to an unjust government. I wouldn't pay the tithe and the tithe of the church, so I signed off from the church. Well, now, Sam, I'm ready and right to sign off from the government. Where do I sign? Where?
You can't do that.
Why not?
Well, even the president has to obey the laws.
Oh, the poor president. What with him preserving his popularity and doing his duty, he doesn't know what to do.
If the majority says...
I'm the majority. A majority of 1.
Arrest him!
I don't want to arrest him.
Go ahead, constable. If a man can't even go into town to get his shoe fixed, not a pair, not even 1 shoe, without his neighbors pawing at him with their dirty institutions.
There must be something almighty wrong for a man who's so willing to go.
It's very simple, Sam. What the government of this country is doing turns my stomach. Do you know what they're doing down in Washington?
Well, I don't have much time for newspapers, and I read slow.
Well, open up your ears then and listen. Find out what he's up to, your hired man in the White House.
He's not just my president, he's yours too.
No, sir, I'm not paying his salary. He's fired.
You think high of Dr. Emerson, don't you?
Usually.
He paid his tax.
Oh, that's his problem. I'm not paying mine.
All I know is it ain't fitting to throw a Harvard man in jail, especially a Thoreau. A honester man than you, Henry, I never knew.
Is that a compliment, Sam?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. Now clap me in your Bastille.
Somebody better go tell his mama.
Do not let his Aunt Louisa know. Oh, she'll have a conniption fit. I'm gonna go tell her.
Ain't much, but it's clean.
Music, too. Very soothing.
Now, Henry, I gotta put down your age.
29 summers.
29. Occupation?
What do you need that for, Sam?
If I don't fill this out correct, the selectmen won't pay your board.
What's his occupation?
Him? He's a vagrant.
So am I.
Now, Henry, that's no occupation. That's another charge. Give me something to put down. What are you exactly?
What am I? Hoer of beans, fisherman, and specter of snowstorms.
Them won't do.
Oh, you want respectable trade, Sam. Let me see here. Let me think. Pencil maker, occasionally. School teacher once. Surveyor, a carpenter. Huckleberry hunter, expert.
Carpenter. That'll do.
Careful, Sam. You'll shock the clergy knowing that you locked up a carpenter.
It's rich.
Who is it? I'll get it.
I already have, dear.
I'll get it. I've got it. Oh, Lydian, what are you doing up?
It's Henry. He's in jail.
God, help us. Why? What did he do?
It isn't clear.
He murdered Deacon Ball. One of Henry's acts of mercy.
No.
Deacon Ball's been murdered, and they're accusing Henry.
Deacon Ball has not been murdered.
Oh, that's too bad. Let me look at that.
Every night, Louisa. Every night, I have this terrible nightmare. I dream that David Henry is in jail. But tonight, I didn't even have to go to sleep.
Henry, before I take my boots off for the night, why don't you pay up and let me let you out of here?
Take off your boots, Sam.
Lydia, I've got to get on my boots. Where's my coat? I've got to get down to Concord Square.
You're going to go like that?
That boy's in trouble.
Please pay up, Henry.
Sam, asking me to pay for a rifle is the same thing as asking me to fire it. Making me no much more of a killer than those soldiers who crashed across the border into faraway Mexico and crashed into our neighbor's house and set it afire and killed their children. Sam. You forgot your key.
Oh.
Henry! Henry! What are you doing in jail?
Waldo, what are you doing out of jail? money or your life. Well, I wouldn't give it my money, and they think they have my life. Only my body. You see, I'm a free man, free to touch my nose or not, free to stand or to not. You see, the country is so afraid of us, Bailey, that it locks us up. It is a lone woman with her silver spoons, and we have frightened her out of her wits.
Henry, you have wits enough to know that in order to get along, you have to go along.
Go along, go along, go along!
Edward? Go along with Mr. Thoreau, dear.
Where are we going?
Huckleberry hunting, my boy. Would you like to study composition with Mozart or painting with Michelangelo? Study huckleberrying with Thoreau. It's the same thing. Now, when I was your age, if I was ever your age, my mama used to bake the best huckleberry pudding in all of Concord. But you see, all my mama got, and all my papa, and all my Uncle Charlie, and my Aunt Louisa, and my brother John, all they ever got was the pudding. You see, I had the glory of exploring and finding the huckleberries, a half-day adventure under the Concord sky.
How do you find huckleberries? I want to discover some.
You see, most people think that the huckleberries are over there.
Should I go over there?
No, sir. For you see, the best huckleberries have a sly way of being exactly where you are standing. Here. You see, the trick of it is you have to know where to stand.
Can I taste one? Right now?
Yes, but for everyone you taste, you must take 2 home.
They're good. Where's your basket?
Well, I use my hat, since my head is precisely the size of huckleberry pudding.
Here's a whole patch of them.
You've got talent, no doubt about that.
Let's race to see who can get the most first.
Now that was a happy huckleberry.
Look, I've got more than you have.
Everybody does.
How does a huckleberry get to be a huckleberry instead of a strawberry?
Well, you see, there are a number of books on the subject, but meeting a huckleberry gives you more knowledge than any botanist who ever wrote a dull book.
Look, mine's all the way to the top. Mama should have given me a...
Well, don't you know what you've done? You've scattered and spread the berries for many future bushes, for many future generations of Edward Emersons.
I have?
Yes.
How?
Well, you see, nature has intended that little boys gathering huckleberries should now and then spread and scatter their berries. Edward, you have been as helpful as a honeybee.
Let's pick some more and spill them. But those are yours.
I surrender the title.
What does that mean?
Like most of the voodoo of ownership, it means absolutely nothing.
Henry, I wish you were my father. These are for you, Mama.
My, what a present! Thank you, Edward.
I guess, really, you should thank Henry.
Oh, Mr. Thoreau, dear.
Henry says I should call him Henry.
Well, you see, there's not much formality in the huckleberry hunting business.
And Mama, I've asked Henry to be my father.
Oh? matters to the kitchen, will you, dear?
And Mama, if Henry's my father, that means you've got a husband. Not one in England or someplace else all the time, but right here, in our house. Wouldn't it be nicer for you?
I suppose it isn't wise for you to continue working here while Waldo's away.
Please don't be afraid of me.
But shouldn't I be? You're going to tell me that you have too much respect for the Sage of Concord.
And his wife.
Respect is based on friendship, and friendship is based on love, and love is so accidental. Isn't it, Henry?
Yes, love is accidental. A man or a woman can't love on schedule. You see, I don't wake up in the morning and say that I shall start loving at 9:20 and continue until 10:15. Yes, love is accidental, and it's everywhere. It's in the tide, and the waves, and the wind, and the sunshine.
Henry, if love is all around you like huckleberries, then why do you pick loneliness?
Mama, Henry, look what happened to the chicken's feet. He's wearing gloves.
No, Edward, that's not... It is wearing gloves.
Well, you told me the other day that you were uprooting your rose plant, so I decided to give a little elegance to the ladies of the hen house.
You made these for all the chickens?
I'm opposed to social distinctions, so once one of them is gloved, the rest of them can't run around bare-clawed.
Can I take him out and show him to everybody?
He's a she, dear. And yes, I suppose you can.
But bring the lady home and latch the gate if you want an omelet for breakfast.
My roses, thank you.
They're welcome.
Get married, Henry. Find a face and teach yourself to love it.
I have. I'm a crusty and resolute bachelor, and nature is my mother-in-law.
But there are so many pretty young girls.
I would drive them promptly into old age, and I am not that cruel.
You need a brain to toss on the pillow next to you. What about Margaret Fuller?
Margaret Fuller. I couldn't marry her.
Why not?
2 reasons. 1, I'm not stupid enough to ask her. 2, she's not stupid enough to accept. You want to be a matchmaker, Lady, and find me something that's innocent and natural and uncomplicated. A shrub or a cloud, a leaf lost in a snowstorm.
But isn't it lonely, Henry?
Lonely? I am no more lonely, Lydian, than the North Star or the South Wind or the first spider in a new house. But what about your loneliness? Is it enough to go to bed each night with just a letter from your husband explaining his overwhelming passion for Carlyle? Isn't it such a pity that you are so safe with me?
Oh, I'm scared of a trial. I ain't got no lawyer. First, the food here ain't too bad. Would you be my lawyer?
I am no lawyer.
Couldn't you be one for me? No, you talk like a lawyer. You're smart as most.
Bailey, I would give you my coat or my boots or my blanket. I would chop wood for you or I would push a wheelbarrow for you. but I would not stoop to being a lawyer for anyone. I believe Lucifer was a lawyer. That's why the devil still gives advice to the presidents.
Well, who am I gonna get?
If I were God, Bailey, instead of just a speck of him, I wouldn't let you die away in the dark.
Well, then tell me what to do.
Well, I suppose you could try being born into a more just and generous age. Although that's not really a practical suggestion. I suppose you could try prayer.
I've never been good at it.
Neither am I.
But could you say one for me?
Is the Lord so almighty that he needs a tap on the shoulder to remind him that Adam had children?
Prayer couldn't hurt none.
All right. All right. Let's send God a telegram. Blessed are the young, for they do not read the president's speeches. Blessed are they who never read a newspaper, for instead they shall see nature and through it, God. And blessed is Bailey, for he is a good fellow, although he is a man of letters. Amen.
Amen. Think that got through?
I wouldn't know. I don't normally pray with words. I prefer music.
Taking no gun on me.
I'm afraid a rifle is no good for hoeing beans. Do you mind if I go ahead? See, there isn't a rifle within 3/4 of a mile from here. What can I do for you?
I need victuals. Give me some victuals.
Sit down, neighbor. It'll be about 3 weeks before these beans come up.
But then I'll be sleep with them beans. I got to get to Kenyatta.
To where?
Kenyatta. North as I can get. They say the norther you get, the freer you get.
Well, there's a half a loaf of bread in the hut over there. Help yourself.
You let me go inside the place without you watching?
Why not? Well, if you'd like to stay till supper, perhaps I can serve us up a fish. No. What's your name?
William.
I'm Henry Thoreau. Now, is Williams your first name or your last name?
It's all my name. But I ain't no slave. I ain't going back to being no slave. I born myself 2 weeks ago.
Good for you, Mr. Williams.
I belong to Mr. Williams. I was Mr. Williams, no more. You gonna turn me in?
I have no more of a stomach for slavery than you do. Here, you're as free as I am.
How come you live like a black man in a slave shack?
Perhaps to prove that less is more. You see, I'm actually rather wealthy. It's just I don't have a lot of money, that's all.
Where's your wife? Any chilies?
Well, my bride is this bean patch, Mr. Williams, and I've adopted several woodchucks and 2 rather very unappreciative squirrels.
Nobody missed me before, not ever.
I'd better get used to it if you're going to be a free man. And you had better get a first name too. But you don't have to. It's just handy.
Henry, maybe? Could I call myself Mr. Henry Williams?
No!
Why are you shouting at me?
You don't belong to anyone except yourself, and least of all to me. Watch out, or you're going to run right into the thing you're running away from.
Henry Williams.
If you don't like the fit of that, there's a David in my name. You can have it. I don't use it very much.
I like Henry Williams. That sounds good. That's a free man's name. Henry Williams.
Well, there's slavery in the North, too. Every man that is shackled to a 10-hour-a-day job is a work slave. Every man that has to worry about next month's rent is a money slave. Keep your freedom, Mr. Williams.
But I do feel free. Here, now, with you. I ain't scared no more.
Why should you be?
You let me stay here? I work. I'm good at hiding to take my chance with the law.
You are welcome here. But you must find your own Walden, Henry Williams. A place where they do not keep black men in suppression. Here in the state of Massachusetts, the color of your face is a flag. See, you can't hide blackness in blindness. If you want any light in your life, you're going to have to go somewhere where men think of themselves as men, not just white men. Go to Kenyatta.
I have cast my vote. I've done it. I put it in the ballot box. What more do you expect me to do?
Cast your whole vote, not just a slip of paper, your whole influence.
We have to go along with the majority.
Go along!
Henry, one must consider the economic and sociological ramifications. When white people and black try to live together, it's infinitely complicated.
Then simplify. Simplify.
Complicate things all the more by rushing. You're a naturalist, Henry. You understand the slow evolving of the seasons. It's the same with human relationships. You can't rush a sunrise.
When a man leaps from a moving freight train and scrambles into the wood to cross the border into Kenyatta.
Where?
Into Canada. A freer country, even though they still have the crown, but they don't have a fugitive slave law. When a man is on his way to cross the border into freedom and is stopped by a Boston policeman, well, he doesn't have time for one of Dr. Emerson's leisurely sermons on the slow evolving of the seasons.
Henry, I am just as shocked at the death of this man as you are. What was his name?
Henry Williams. A free man with a new name, hardly used.
I am just as concerned.
Are you? To you, Mr. Williams, Henry Williams is an abstraction. You might be able to use him as a digression in one of your Lyceum lectures.
How can you be so unpleasant to me when I'm trying to agree with you?
I expect more from you than anyone else. That's why I'm disappointed.
Well, what do you expect of me?
Speak out.
I speak.
Well, it's not enough. Shout.
I am not a shouter.
Not with your voice box, with your mind. Waldo, nobody listens to me. They only ever listen to you. 'Cause my God, you are Emerson. Darling of the Lyceum, Lord of the lecture circuit, every single word you fling into an audience is cherished like an heirloom. Stand up, Waldo, and say what you believe.
Sometimes I think I invented you, Henry. or at least prophesied you, because you live what I talk about. I couldn't exist the way you do, Henry. I like my warm toast and tea and soft-boiled egg brought to me on a tray in bed each morning. Whenever I even think of Walden, I get a cold. But I admire you, Henry, I really do. You're my walking ethic. Those are the exact words I used to describe you to Carlyle. Did you know that I told Carlyle about you?
I don't care what you told Carlyle.
I said to Carlyle, of all the men in Concord, Henry Thoreau's the best of the lot. That's what I told him. A poet as full of buds of promise as a young apple tree. That's what I said.
Waldo, don't talk about me. Talk to me. Listen to me.
How is that?
Can you lie in bed every morning awaiting your breakfast, your soft-boiled egg, your toast, and your tea? Can you raise your right hand to your mouth while you raise your left, which is also you? Your government is killing men in Mexico. How can you taste, Waldo? How can you swallow? How can you breathe? You cast your ballot with your right hand while your left has killed Henry Williams running to be free.
Because I don't rant like Jeremiah. Do you think I'm not outraged? I do what can be done.
Well, it's not enough. Do the impossible. That's what you tell people in your lectures. Oh, but you don't believe any of that, do you? You trundle up and down the streets of New England with your beneficent smile, stepping up to your lectern, accepting the handshakes of mayors and the polite applause of little old ladies. And you keep on singing your spineless benedictions.
What I say is not spineless.
Well, you occasionally sound a battle cry, but you yourself refuse to hear it.
You are a very difficult man.
Oh, good. This world is too full of easy men.
Do you want to go out and advocate violence and rebellion?
I asked you to stop violence. As for rebellion, do you think this country was hatched from a soft-boiled egg? Look around you, Waldo. We have become everything we've protested against.
And what are you doing about it, young man? You pull the woods up over your head. You resign from the human race. Could your woodchucks, with all their wisdom, have saved Henry Williams? Are your fish going to build roads, teach school, put out fires? Oh, it's very simple for a hermit to sit off at a distance and proclaim exactly how things should be. But what if everybody did that? Where would we be?
Where are we, Waldo?
We're at war. I'm aware of it.
Well, are you aware of the reasons? The slaveholders grasping for more slave territory, more slavery and less freedom. Is that what you want?
Henry, we must work within the framework of our laws. The end to this war, the condition of the blacks. This is the business of the President and the Congress.
Do you really believe that? I guess I was wrong. I thought you held the same disgust what the military is doing. No. It doesn't bother you? Looks like I've made a mistake. You know, you're right to keep still. I shall go back to my woods and leave you at peace with your war.
All right, my unconscience. What shall I do?
Declare yourself.
I will. Absolutely. The next time the accused...
Now! A year ago was too late. I shall get you an audience this afternoon at Concord Square.
Fire someplace.
What's the news? Is the war over?
What you doing up there, Henry? What's going on?
Dr. Emerson is coming to make a statement right here, right now.
Oh, David Henry, are you riling everybody up again?
Dr. Emerson's going to rile up the whole country, and you're going to hear it first.
Is he gonna say something or give a sermon?
Both, God willing.
Dr. Emerson? Dr. Emerson gonna speak now?
Yes, I just came back from him. He is on his way.
Well, where is he?
He's coming, don't worry. He's on his way.
Dr. Emerson asked me to tell you
Yes.
that he needs more time to meditate on these matters, so that he can write his careful essay putting forth his position.
And he gave his wife the happy job of coming down here to tell us. Like some walking, written excuse to a schoolmaster saying, "So sorry, Johnny couldn't come to school today for he was stuck in bed with the croup."
Waldo wants to collect his thoughts.
What is this, the winter of our content? By the time he collects his thoughts, they'll be as dead as dandelions under the snow.
Well, we all come running to the fire, but nobody lit it. That's Henry for you.
Henry, my husband loves you as much as any man can love another man.
My God. He was my God. If he is a deity, then I am a doubter.
Why do you enjoy hurting him?
He hurts me.
He cares what you think, so he gets excited.
Patronizing,
and
that's what he is. I will not sit at the foot of his pulpit. He never speaks to me. Was he speaking to me just now?
You widen the distance.
It's a waste of breath talking to your husband. I almost lose my time, almost my
Henry,
identity.
listen to me. He cares what you think. And I hear you both, and you wrangle and tussle like boys at a cricket match, hitting and pushing and kicking each other, not for the sake of the ideal, you're just playing to win.
Your husband, Mrs. Emerson, has the misfortune of being a gentleman and is famous. And he is drowning in his own success.
My husband's best friend doesn't even know who my husband is. You've drawn some ideal in your mind, some imaginary Waldo, the way you want him to be. Please, give him the same liberty he gives you, to be what you are.
Citizens of Concord. How do we break the silence? How do we make a sound?
Learn to kill, learn to kill, learn to kill so you won't be killed.
Learn to kill, learn to kill, learn to kill so you won't be killed.
I'm gonna shoot at them, they ain't done nothing to me.
Coward! Traitor! Fucker!
Vagrant! Why doesn't this man have a gun?
Wake up, Henry. I got something here for you. Wake up!
I don't want it. The purpose of this action is to stop the enemy in protecting themselves from the enemy.
I won't go.
That's a good boy, David Henry. Always do the right thing, even if it's wrong.
Mr. President, the military advises that we conquer the entire territory, level them all to rubble. Are you prepared to go along?
Is this man saying something? I can't hear him.
What are your instructions, Mr. President?
I wish more time to collect my thoughts. So, I'm going to appoint a committee, to appoint a committee, to appoint a committee. Yeah! Get to the bottom of this, so the top will know what to
There he is, boys. That's the enemy.
do. Run, Henry Williams, run! He's safe. Mr. President, he only wanted to pick huckleberries. I propose to write a careful essay setting forth my position. Somebody speak up, somebody say something!
Mr. Speaker, gentlemen of the Congress, this unnecessary war was unconstitutionally commenced by the President, who may be telling us the truth, but he is not telling the whole truth. He has swept the war on in showers of blood. His mind taxed beyond its powers is running out like some tortured creature on a burning surface. Stop the war, Mr. President. For the love of God, stop this war.
I don't recognize who you are, Congressman. I doubt the people of Illinois will re-elect you for you refuse to go along. But I shall remember who you are, Congressman Lincoln. John!
Ready! Fire!
John! John! Oh, don't die again. Please, God, don't let John die again.
Wake up, Henry. Wake up. I got
don't want it.
Well, porridge ain't very good, but the cocoa's hot.
Good morning, Sam. Is it morning?
Yeah. Here's your pint of chocolate. You heard the news?
What news?
It's finished.
The war?
The wire they've been stretching clear to Texas. And it works. Now, a fella in New York can send words down there electric fast as he can talk.
But Sam, what if nobody in Texas has anything important to say to anybody in New York?
I just thought you'd like to know. Another thing, you can leave anytime you're in mind to.
Leave.
During the night, your tax got paid up.
Did you do it?
I offered, but you flat refused.
Did my mother pay it?
No.
Waldo. Did Dr. Emerson come and pay it?
No.
Mrs. Emerson.
Stop poking around trying to get me to tell. I promised your Aunt Louisa I wouldn't open.
Aunt Louisa! Why am I cursed with my mother's sister's compassion? Aunt Louisa, why can't you keep yourself and your false teeth out of my life? I hereby excommunicate you from the Milky Way.
Been nice having you here with us, Henry. Here's the receipt.
Why didn't pay my tax, Sam? I'm still a criminal.
It's been paid.
Not by me.
A man's got no right to stay in jail if there's no charge against him. I can't even bring you lunch.
You going already?
He's going.
We got awful quiet around here. What's wrong?
It's very selfish for a man to only think about himself. Sam, do you know what quid pro quo means?
Is that one of them Harvard words?
It means that if Bailey sees his trial not in another 3 months or 3 weeks, I mean right now, why then I might fancy your law and walk out onto the sidewalk. Not before.
That ain't in my power. I don't make decisions like that.
Good night, Sam.
It's morning, Henry.
Not for me. Not until Bailey sees his trial.
I'll do everything in my power. I'll talk to the judge and the select.
Thank you. I ain't never gonna forget this night here. They let me out of here. I'm gonna come visit you. You don't mind. It's your pond place.
Bailey, when I might not be at that pond place when you are there. You see, there are several more lives to live, and I think I'm all through with this.
Sounds to me like it's just about perfect.
You see, that's the thing. If I'm to live there any longer, I might live there forever. You have to think twice before you accept heaven on terms like that. Have you ever taken a boat trip, Bailey?
Riverboat only.
Well, when you get a ticket to an ocean passage, they give you the privilege of the whole ship, and it should be used. A man shouldn't just stay below deck because it's cozy or warm. You see, I think I need to go before the mast and onto the foredeck. I must leave well. It's not necessary to be there in order to be there.
morning. It's gonna be a fine July day out there.
You see that sometimes the sun shines so bright it puts your eyes out. Well, then it's just darkness all over again. But there is more day to dawn. The sun is only a morning star.